Bring in Hatem Bazian, a professor of Middle Eastern cultures and languages at the University of California, Berkeley. Professor, welcome to the program. That meeting that Trump had with Arab and Muslim majority nations, there was supposed to be apparently some kind of joint statement afterwards. We haven't heard anything. All we seem to understand is that it's just old ideas being rehashed.
Well, if history is an indication relative to Trump, I expect him to consult first with Israel, send the possible statement, if it's going to come, to the Prime Minister's office, to Netanyahu's office. And by the time it comes out, it will be an Israeli statement with all Israel demands being included in there. This is, again, the same type of tried, tested and failed approach of Trump trying to put himself as a peacemaker, that he is trying to end the war on Gaza, while simultaneously continuing to provide Israel with all its needs militarily. I think we're going to have another $6.5, possibly $6.7 billion more armaments being sent to Israel. So if Trump is accurately wants to bring an end to the war on Gaza, there is actually a very simple approach. You pick up the phone and he would call Netanyahu and says, if the war is not stopped within the next 24 hours, the United States is not going to send any military support or aid. So this meeting is a PR meeting, nothing more, nothing less. And I don't expect any changes from taking place from the Trump administration relative to the ongoing genocide in Gaza.
Yeah, most of the world would imagine that possibly American foreign policy would need to find some kind of balance between its relations with its Arab allies and its relationship with Israel. But are you basically saying that actually the Arab nations make no difference? Multilateralism is not going to solve this because Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu want to drive the whole process themselves, unilaterally almost?
Well, let's talk in terms of balance. The United States have given the green light for Israel to bomb Qatar, green light to attack and hold Syrian territory, attack Iran, Lebanon, also early on attack targets on the border with Egypt. And it seems to be that there is no restraint, and I'm going to include Yemen as well. So if the balance between the Arab Muslim world and Israel, it seems very clear to any observer that the United States has one policy and one policy only, which is to be the cheerleader for Netanyahu and continue to provide him with every cover, military cover, political cover, international cover, to continue the policy of genocide. I remind you that Trump himself is on record saying that the United States will take Gaza. And when he was asked by which authority, he says is the United States authority. So Trump's policy, if we take what he said and the actual implementation, is that he is supportive of the ethnic cleansing. He says, yeah, we're going to remove the Palestinians for 10 years to rebuild Gaza and make it into a Riviera, while also looking the other way and telling the Israelis to continue their policy unabated with the bombardment, ethnic cleansing, and pressing the Palestinians out. So there is very clear direction in terms of the United States policy. And anybody that takes Trump words relative to meeting with the Arab and Muslim leaders while comparing it to action, the action is very clear and far more indicative of what Trump and U.S. policy in here is to support Netanyahu and Israel without any changes whatsoever.
While we wait for that possible final declaration from the meeting, what is your opinion of the analysis that actually some Gulf nations have so much money invested in the United States that they could use that as leverage to pressure the White House to take greater action to end this genocide?
Well, I do think that the Arab and Muslim world does have many options, not only in terms of financial resources. I think they could close their airspace to Israeli airlines and travel. They could also restrict the access of their port cities to Israeli products. They could also allow people to file legal actions against existing Israeli companies that operate either directly or indirectly through conglomerates in their own territories. And I don't want to also mention the possibility of oil and natural gas being used as a very strategic tool. And lastly, that the Gulf countries and the Arab and Muslim world have many, many options for economically in terms of their financial strength, with deposits in U.S. bank, with various types of investment, as well as purchases of U.S. products. So the fact that none of these are being discussed as real options to say to the United States that you have an option. Here is the Arab and Muslim world that has engaged economically, politically, and continue to operate in a fair type of diplomatic relations with the United States. And on the other, you continue to support Israel, which has violated almost every principle of the Fourth Geneva Convention, every principle of international law, and yet there is no movement or change in here. So again, I think the options are many, but the question, do we have the will among the Arab and Muslim leadership to take the next steps that are needed to use real leverage, not theoretical, real leverage, to bring about a transformation relative to Gaza and bring an end to the genocide?
Professor Hatem Bazian, thank you so much, Professor.